I just pulled over on the side of the road because check out this view. I'm in Washington right now, and I feel like this makes sense for where I am. Just pull over to a random side of the road, and this is the view that you get. But this reminds me of a special technique I've been doing, I'm gonna try it here, that can exponentially improve your phone camera quality. So I can go from a photo that looks like this to one that looks like this, all with the exact same iPhone. Let me show you. I love taking photos with my iPhone. The camera system is one of the main reasons I have stuck with the iPhone for generation after generation. And throughout the years, I've taken some pretty great photos and ones that I'm super happy with, all with a phone because it's what's in my pocket. But I keep hitting an issue. Sure, a lot of these photos can look great, but often I found that they just don't have the quality I wanted. They still very much look like a phone camera. When you zoom in and look around, the detail just isn't there. They look processed. I'm just not happy with it. And that means that the camera that I always have with me, well, it's not always able to give me what I actually want. So I end up needing to bring other cameras with me or just sacrifice a potential moment. But what if I didn't have to do that? What if I could get the quality I wanted? And what if this camera that we all have in our pocket could rival some of those big, expensive cameras? Okay, so to demonstrate what I am talking about here, I found this scene with this nice bridge. It's on a river, looks pretty good. And I think a lot of people would like to stop and take a photo of this. And so that's exactly what I did. I took my phone out, took a snapshot, and this is what it looks like out of the main camera on my iPhone 16 Pro. Looks good. I shot in the highest quality settings, so we got 48 megapixels. It was in Pro RAW, so I have all the editing capability I might want, and it looks good. But there is just more that I want. This just feels like a iPhone photo to me, and that's not what I'm looking for. Instead, I want to, go further than that and get the most quality possible. Now, when I look at this scene, I think it would be great for a panorama. Now, if I take a panorama with the, panorama mode on the iPhone, this is what that looks like. Again, doesn't really look bad, but when you start poking around and looking at it, you can tell that this was taken on a phone. And well, I don't want that. So now this is what it looks like if I use the technique I'm talking about. And if you start looking right at this file, well, you can see it looks significantly better. Okay, so here is how this works. Now you're really just gonna need two things. One is an app that gives you really high quality settings. So, you could do this in the regular, stock camera app just using the Pro RAW mode, but I like to use a third-party app, particularly the one I'm using right now is called Halide. This is a tried and true app if you are using, pro settings, if you want the most control possible. This is the app to get. I've been using it for years. But what they released not all that long ago that makes it even better is a feature called Process Zero. And basically what that does is it gives you, well, no processing, which in this particular case is exactly what you want. Because believe it or not, even though Pro RAW is raw in a certain sense where you can adjust things like the white balance and the exposure, it's not exactly raw. Apple is still adding their own flavor to it. But Process Zero is just the raw data out of the camera, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Now, this Process Zero feature, I think is, great all the time to use if you're trying to, get the most quality possible, because it kind of removes that layer of smartphone-ness. When you look at a phone camera and you can just tell that it was taken on a phone, Process Zero kind of gives you less of that effect. And in certain situations, you actually would not be able to tell that it was taken on a phone. And well, that's exactly the point here. So I'd recommend trying this out even if you don't care about this technique. Now, the second thing you need aside from an app like that is a little bit of patience, because unfortunately to get this technique, to get this kind of quality, it's gonna take some post-processing work and it's also going to take some time when actually shooting the photos. So here's how that works. Real quick though, before we continue on and thank this video's sponsor, Kinsta. Kinsta is the #1 provider of managed hosting for your WordPress. And they offer pretty much everything you need from security, reliability, ease of use, and also 24/7 support with a real person. I'm currently in the process of making a website so that I can host all of my photos and show them off, including the ones I'm talking about in this video. And well, Kinsta is what I'm going to be using. Now, Kinsta is trusted by over 120,000 other companies like NASA, TripAdvisor. In fact, they are rated #1 in WordPress hosting by G2, and they outranked 357 other companies to get that spot. That says a lot. But they also deliver on what they promise. In fact, if you use Kinsta, you can get up to 200% faster performance. And on the security side, you get enterprise level security. So you get enterprise level firewall and DDoS protection. Plus you can get an SLA backed uptime guarantee of 99.9%. So your website is going to be fast and it's actually going to work. But the best part, I think, is that it's easy to use and you get 24/7 support with a real person. So if you ever encounter an issue, you're actually going to get that issue fixed in a good amount of time. So if you want to check this out, I'll leave everything linked down below, and you can get a 30-day money-back guarantee plus a 1-month free trial. So you know that this is going to work for you and you don't have to worry about getting set up. They can help you migrate everything over. Like I said, it's super easy to use. So check out the link in the description or scan this QR code. Give Kinsta a shot, and I think you'll see how much better your website runs. So I'm going to open up Halide, and I'm going to actually go into the 5x mode. Again, I'm making sure that process raw is enabled, all of that, and that I'm in the highest quality settings. But I'm going to go into that 5x mode, or whatever the most zoomed in mode is. So if you're on an older iPhone, use 3x, but 5x is what I've got. And then what I'm going to do is actually take a bunch of photos and stitch them together in post. Now, like I said, this is going to take some patience. It's going to take some time, but I'm telling you, the results are excellent. They speak for themselves. So when I'm in that 5x mode, I look at the bridge here and I see what my scene is, and I take that 5x zoom and start on one side and slowly move my way over, taking pictures along the way. So I'll start on one end, take a photo. I'll move it over a little bit and making sure everything overlaps, take another one. Move it over, take another one, move it over, take another one. And then I go down and take another one. Just do that for the entire scene. So you have to envision what you want your photo to look like beforehand. So I know this, I want it to be like a panorama. So I have that frame in mind. And now I'm kind of emulating that with the 5x zoom. And as I do that, I turn that one 5x 12 megapixel photo into a much larger, much more detailed photo, because it's stitched together. So you can see here, this is what the photo looks like in the finished product. But even if I zoom in, the detail is there because this is multiple photos stitched together. This is not a new technique by any means. This is something that's been done for years and years with panoramas, but it's something you can do with your phone as well that I think a lot of people didn't even think about. And when I tried it for the first time, I was blown away. This is the first photo that I took with this technique, and it was simply because the only photo camera I had with me was my phone. So I was like, hey, you know what? Let me try that. I've done this with my main camera before. Let me see what it looks like on the camera on my phone. It turned out excellent. This is a printable photo. I actually have it printed. People love this. This is one of my favorite photos I've ever taken. And it literally was taken on my iPhone. It wasn't even this one, it was the 15 Pro. And so even though it does take some time, it takes some patience to get this photo correct, well, I think it's worth it because once you take it in the computer, that's where the magic starts to happen. In fact, let's go do that now. Okay, so now we get to part 2, which is how to actually stitch these photos together to just get one photo. There's various different ways to do this. You can do this right on the phone. There's certain apps that allow this, but it doesn't give you quite all the features I would hope for. And so what I end up doing is just importing these onto the desktop and using a program like Photoshop or Lightroom Classic. These are robust tools that have been used for years and years. And if you just want the most control, which is kind of the whole point of this, you're probably going to want to use something like this. So to make this work, all you have to do is import all of those photos that you downloaded. And again, these are all raw photos that are coming straight off the phone. Then you take those and import them into either Lightroom or Photoshop for this. I'm just using Photoshop. And now that they are all in here, before I do anything else, I'm going to select all of them, right click, and then select merge to panorama. And this is going to analyze all these photos, detect where they overlap, and it's going to automatically, without me really having to do anything, merge them into one photo. Now this says panorama because that's really what this is usually used for, but in this case, it doesn't have to be a panorama. For this bridge photo, that's what I ended up doing. It could be a square, it could be a rectangle, or any really shape that you want. In the end, you can still choose, but typically this is used for panoramas. That's why it's called this. Now, this will take a bit of processing time, depends on your system, whatever computer you are using, but once it is done, it will give you this preview and you can see it has stitched everything together. And then now you can save this as one single singular photo so that every time you open it up, it's just one image. And then now, well, you can treat it just like any other image you've had. But the difference is when you zoom in and look around, the detail is I mean, incredible. Considering this came off your phone, it is hard to explain how much better the image looks. And because these are raw photos, this new bigger raw photo is completely editable and you can make it look however you want. I personally have been on a huge panoramic kick lately, which is how I started doing this technique. So these are some of the photos I have done with this technique and using just my iPhone. And so you can see after they are edited and, I put my own style on them, these are photos that I am finally happy with. It is really just that simple. So yeah, that is my super secret, not so secret technique on how to get the best quality out of your phone. It takes a little bit of time and patience, but the results, well, they are worth it. And now that means when I go out and I don't have another camera with me, if I only have my phone, I'm confident that I can get some amazing results that honestly no one would know were taken with this phone. Again, I want to thank Kinsta for sponsoring this video. Check out everything in the description below for that info. But yeah, if you want to take your iPhone photos to the next level, well, I think you should give this a shot.